Heyo, this is Chris. I'm here with Owen, and I don't know what the hell a data center is, so I'd like to find out. And Owen, can you explain to me? I'm reading about it in the news constantly. There's a new data center they're trying to put pretty close to my house, and people are pissed.
Yes.
So what's going on, man?
Yeah. So data centers aren't anything new. I mean, they've been really since the start of the internet. It's all the conversation now though, and why it's coming up so much is because data centers are becoming so much bigger and they're drawing so much more power now. So that's the main issue.
But we've always had data centers.
So we've always had data
Is
centers.
this like where the cloud computing is done?
Yes, exactly. So anything that's on the cloud is in a data center, right? All of your social medias, which like your posts or whatever,
Yeah.
all of those are run and stored on databases, which are in data centers.
Uh-huh.
All of it's in data centers. It's just the scale. So when you talk about data centers, you usually describe them the scale of like their power consumption, because it's crazy. They spend tens of millions of dollars on like the hardware that's in
The GPUs.
data center. Yeah, well, now it's GPUs or it's
Hey,
drives.
What does GPU stand for? And what,
Yeah.
like, I think of it as a graphics card for some reason.
It is
like
a
a card
graphics
that I
card.
put in my computer, but
Yep.
like, what is a GPU doing?
That is all it is. So the funny thing is, so Nvidia is so valuable now. They started out as consumer grade graphics cards. That's what all the gamers have.
Yeah.
GPUs. And then actually, back when crypto started to come about, people found that graphics cards are very good at mining cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
Because all it is if you think about, so the two kind of main processing units in a computer are your CPU. So if you think about that as like a PhD student,
Yeah.
you can think about a graphics card as a million fifth graders doing simple math,
Interesting.
right? So that's why it's really good at, games, because it's all about rendering. But if you think about how you render things on a screen, there's millions of pixels on screen. So you need to calculate each one. So graphic cards are really good at doing calculations in parallel.
Gotcha.
So that's why for cryptocurrency, it was, those hashing algorithms.
So the GPUs were better at that
Yeah,
than the CPUs.
exactly. So
But
that
they're both providing compute.
yes. So they're both providing compute, put in different ways.
Yeah.
Right. So
And these data centers basically have like a zillion of them all lined up together.
yes, because when AI started coming about, that same kind of parallel compute, mass compute, that GPUs excel at are exactly what's needed for training and doing the inference of AI models.
Gotcha.
So they're spending, I mean, one of these NVIDIA cards that they'll use, just one of them is about $20,000.
Yeah. Which is why the Nvidia
just
stock has taken off, right? Then he got like
there's such high demand.
a growing market.
So now, most of these huge data centers are using GPUs. Historically, they've used GPUs and, even just drives for storing things. That's where the cloud comes from. But, it wasn't as much of an issue before because you'd have like a 350 milliwatt
Usage.
megawatt.
Yeah, the size of it. I was like, in
So that's its power consumption is totally where most of the money, like the actual cost of the hardware in the data center, negligible. Its power consumption is,
which is an ongoing cost.
Yep.
Yeah. So people are pissed about the power consumption.
yes, right. But to put it to kind of scale, typical older data centers, like relatively large ones, are like 350 to 500 megawatts.
Uh-huh.
Now, like I believe the one, if you heard about Kevin O'Leary,
He's pissing everybody off.
That's a 5 gigawatt data center.
Yeah, he wants to hold it. So she's gonna suck energy.
So I mean, I don't know the exact scale, but it's like that is enough power to power,
The city
a
or something.
major city.
Yeah,
for a
someone
whole
said
year.
something like I heard that stat. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Like the
Yeah.
power consumption is insane.
Right. The power consumption is just absurd, but we need so many of them, and the driving factor is AI, because the AI inference and just as usage and compute goes up, you need way more.
We're
power to
using
run it.
tons of compute. A lot of it's 24/7 available compute.
Mm.
I mean, here's the thing: the data center issue is not going to go away. They're definitely going to build data centers.
Yeah.
In my town, which is Lowell, Michigan. My current understanding of it is that the board or commission of Lowell, more or less, like worked with whoever's trying to build this data center to roll over the local population and not really allow them effective feedback or effective protests, and then ended up just voting to do it anyways, even though the town is really disappointed about it. And now those people are up for elections, so kind of on average, the sentiment is like we're gonna let them all out. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that's gonna happen, right? And like Microsoft, I think it might be Microsoft, but if it's not, I'm sorry. But whoever it is that's building it, basically like they're working with these local officials. They're promising some jobs and a lot of tax dollars. The local officials are gonna go for that a lot. Like,
Yeah. And that's kind of the main uproar. It's like, I mean, it's always been this way with big business is the state or local government
yeah,
is giving them incentive to bring their business there. It's going to provide jobs and tax dollars, right?
yeah.
That's kind of, they're incentivizing them to bring it there. But when you incentivize somebody to bring a data center to you, essentially all the power costs are going to go up for everybody around the data center.
I think they should. I mean, I think that we've been talking a lot about how is regulatory going to work with AI, and like the data centers should be part of that conversation. I think that there should be a guaranteed zero net impact to electrical rates for anybody that's taking out a data center.
Agree.
The data center should indemnify the local population against increases in electric rates
Yeah.
as a penalty, like, or just have to provide their own power
That's the big
resources,
push
which
now.
kind of
It's
becomes a mini nuclear compelling argument,
Yep.
right? Like,
Yeah, that's kind of the exact. I've seen a lot more kind of research being done as far as small nuclear reactors.
yeah,
And it's for that exact reason of data centers save a lot of, their own headache by bringing their own power.
I think that we've this is probably conspiracy theorists a little bit, but like I think that there have been a long time capabilities to do mini nuclear, like for the size of a small town, even or a city or something, and that those capabilities continue to get better. And I think that more or less those projects were always not allowed or shelved, and just nuclear has been crapped on forever. But the government is going to be forced to reconsider that because there's no other viable solution for the problem other than nuclear. You sure can't do a wind farms and solar,
Yes,
which
exactly.
people don't want that in their township either, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Um,
what about the cooling? Like, can you help me understand that they're like, oh, water, blah blah blah. They use our water. Like,
yep.
how do they cool this stuff with water?
Sure. So a lot of them are in kind of water cooled loops, right? So these GPUs, because they're working so hard, they get hot. So you have to cool them down in order to keep them at, optimal operating temperature. So there'll be big kind of water loops of they're just sending water in and then they cool the water down as it comes around. So the big kind of uproar in water is that it's a kind of a combination of cooling plus just the power usage, right?
Yeah.
That's still how we generate power is steam, evaporating water.
Uh huh.
Um, but then as far as cooling, for the most part, they're in closed loop. So the actual data center isn't doing crazy amounts of water consumption.
Gotcha.
But in some cases it is. And it's just that it's evaporating water. And the kind of uproar is that if it's using a lot of water in a place where
There's already drought. Yeah, like Arizona.
it's not like,
Cavalier's, I think, is in that category, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. So then that's a lot of the
resources.
reason why he has to buy so much land
Yeah.
is to get the water rights.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: that the data centers need an unbelievable amount of power.
Yeah.
They need an unbelievable amount of water access.
Yeah.
And my understanding is too, they need direct or great access to like really high quality fiber optic cable for the data connectivity.
Yep.
There's not that many places that fit the bill. You can't do it like super remote.
Yeah.
Because of those constraints. So I mean, you end up kind of being like on the skirts of town a little bit in the outskirts or something. On average, it's gonna have to be like that.
Yeah, for sure. But then the other thing, so we've touched on power and water. Those are kind of the two main things that people are up in arms about. But like typically when you bring a huge business, whether it's a factory or whatever, it's providing
Jobs.
so many jobs.
Yeah.
A data center is initially, when it's being built, going to provide tons of construction jobs and, that initial manufacturing jobs. But like, how many employees are really working at a data center?
I have no clue what's the answer.
It's like, it's only maybe a few thousand at the most, because a lot of these things are just kind of like, it's running. It's not like maintenance every day. It's
Even a ginormous data.
even a huge one. There's the biggest ones probably only have a few thousand.
I mean, I think the local ones that I've heard of, the jobs were like less than 10.
Yeah.
So like decent sized data center jobs, less than 10, and it's literally just people making sure that stuff is getting repaired and working correctly or something.
Yeah, I built that few thousand number. I think I just heard it
For
recently.
like a capital series,
Something weird, exactly.
Yeah,
Like the biggest one you could think of only has a handful, a
Yeah.
couple thousand. But yeah, these local ones probably only a dozen or so.
Yeah.
Because it's really just make sure things are on, fix them when they're broken, or like you're just on standby. So it's like so much of an investment for the local community for not many jobs.
So investment by the local community, maybe some of these communities are even giving tax breaks or different things, or incentives to build, or running pipe to these places, so the communities maybe paying bucks into it.
Yep.
It doesn't necessarily create a lot of jobs. We're gonna use some water, or at least warm up some water. Maybe there's some evaporation factor there. And then the power obviously is the biggest one that we're hearing people get really pissed about. What about the noise? Because I hear a lot about like, oh, there's an industrial hum noise that can be heard from some ways away.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not too sure
Yeah.
about the noise factor. Again, they are building them in pretty remote spots.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much that would really.
I don't either. There's like the only video I've seen on it, I think might be a little fake newsy. I'm not sure. But like I do know where there's a data center that I drive by. I was curious about what they were constructing there. So I was kind of poking around as they constructed and ended up kind of figuring it out. But it's definitely nondescript in the way they did it. Was like really like not under the radar, but intentionally anonymous in that sense.
Yeah.
And it is kind of in the middle of nowhere, but like you can't hear a damn thing. But it's small. It's probably about 1,500 square feet or 1,800. So it's really small.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it's interesting. People are really hearing a lot about these data centers, and we need to just start understanding what they really mean and what they entail, what's going on. And like, there's a lot of misinformation out there. Obviously, like Kevin O'Leary interview was really good, I thought, because he said a lot of stuff that was like inflammatory and maybe even partially inaccurate on average too, and the American public really needs to know what's going on.
For sure.
What kind of volume are we talking about here? Like, are they going to be building thousands of data centers, or like a couple hundred, or like?
I mean, they've already been building tons, and kind of one of the big. It's a lot of these places, like your Black Rocks, like your huge PE and those sort of things, and they're actually just kind of estimating or guessing that we're going to need more and more in the future. So they're just starting to build the buildings and infrastructure for it, even without knowing, hey, how are we going to get all the hardware in there? How are we going to get all the power to them?
Yeah.
So it's a pretty big gamble, but they're building.
I mean, we're for sure using more compute on like a parabolic level, I would think here, because of AI. Like that's pending some sort of weird disasters, that's not going to go away. So I think the assumption that the amount of compute needed is going to increase at an insane rate is probably safe.
Yeah.
I do think a lot of these companies are investing in having Kevin O'Leary be an investor even makes it more interesting too. So like, what the hell does he got to do with this?
Yeah.
And the answer is he just sees a play, wants to make money, I think. And I'm not sure why he assumed he was going to just shove this absolutely insane project through with everybody whistling a tune. Like I'm confused about
it. It is an insane project.
It's an insane project. Yeah. I mean, I saw the size and scale of it and what he's planning, and like the way he communicates it is so understated. Like, so, which is,
and then it always kind of boils back down to them saying, "Oh well, we have to beat China in compute."
Yeah, great, dude.
It's like,
what do we care about our residents? We got to beat China anyways.
Yeah,
I mean, that's an interesting, political concern with the compute power.
Yeah,
I was reading a lot too about like, you don't want other countries to be providing your compute power. Yeah. Let's say that China ends up becoming the leader in compute. And we're like effectively buying compute from China instead of doing it here. Yeah. Hey, we get in a war with China or something bad happens with Taiwan and our relationship is constrained, and you don't even have your own compute power. You couldn't even use AI to fight with China at that point either. And AI is a war technology now. For sure. So like, it's very weird.
Yeah. And that also brings up, as far as the model race, right? China's kind of estimated to be like 6 months behind.
Don't they just kind of like steal the way we do stuff? Well, that's like all the time. Like they don't pay the money, they just grab ours. Yeah. Like let us spend all the money on it and then just lay a little bit.
Yeah, you can actually see kind of some posts and research about it. Like if you ask some of the Chinese models right when they come out, like, who are you?
Yeah,
they'll be like, oh, I'm Claude by Anthropic.
Oh, really?
Because they'll train us on kind of data that's output from Claude, and Claude tries to crack down on it and all that. But
that's interesting.
That is totally they'll copy. And really the only time that China has ever been on top as far as AI was about a year and a half ago.
I read about
DeepSeek.
yeah. DT.
So they were all concerned. Yep, OpenAI came out with kind of their flagship model at the time, which was O1. It was the first of these thinking models. And then DeepSeek came out and did the same thing for a fraction of the cost. And
There's the thing.
it was very novel, like because they figured out a way to do it for cheaper, and it was competing, 1-to-1 with.
But like crazy cheaper. We had spent billions of dollars as they spent like hundreds of thousands or something.
It was like a hedge fund built it,
Yeah.
kind of as a side project, which is crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Lots of neat stuff going on. Thanks for checking us out today. And hopefully you learned a little bit more about the data center.
Yeah. Thanks.